Welcome to Across the Balkans. I'm Nafisa Latic. Great to have your company. NATO and the EU have stepped up activities in the Balkans to boost security in the region in the wake of the war in Ukraine. Additional troops have been deployed to Bosnia and Herzegovina and Kosovo. In the midst of it all, Turkey took command of NATO's peacekeeping mission in Kosovo last year. As both Kosovo and Serbia appreciated Turkey's command of KFOR, Belgrade said a stable Balkans is a shared objective. We spoke to Ozkan Ulutas, the Turkish commander of the force, and asked him about the role Turkey plays in peacekeeping on the border and the significance of having Turkish troops on the ground. Omer Saraci reports.
Kosovo has experienced a dynamic journey over the past 25 years, marked by both achievements and challenges. Notable progress has been made economically and politically, and in its pursuit of European integration. Nevertheless, the biggest challenge remains a definitive agreement with Serbia, whose failure to recognize Kosovo's independence has created major challenges for security inside and outside Kosovo's borders.
Sfidat më të mëdha janë dialogu dhe sovraniteti mbi të gjithë territorin që posedojmë. Po roli I KFOR-it është shumë I mirëpritur qysh nga lufta.
Duhet ta dim se KFOR-i është Evropë. Evropa çdo herë na I ka prodhuar teshat që ne s'kena mujt mi vesh. Unë besoj se pa KFOR nuk mujmë të jem ata që duhet të jem, se kemi nevojë për ta.
Kombi shqiptar, kosovar, e kishin paru ma shumë se në Bosnë që kanë bërë.
Maintaining peace and security in the country has been fragile despite coordination among the Kosovo police, the European Union Mission for the Rule and Law, and the NATO mission KFOR. The most recent crisis was sparked last September, when a policeman was killed in an attack on a Kosovo police patrol in the village of Banjska. Prime Minister Albin Kurti blamed Serbian-backed gunmen. The risk of ethnic violence has put KFOR in a tough position, where it will have to play a decisive role in keeping the peace, especially after the 2013 agreement between Kosovo and NATO. One detail includes that the Kosovo security force should not be deployed in the north, inhabited by a Serbian majority without the prior consent of KFOR. We met with Major General Ozkan Ulutas, who is the commander of the NATO-led KFOR peacekeeping mission in Kosovo. He assumed command on the 10th of October, at a time when tensions between Kosovo and Serbia were high after the attack in Banjska. How would you assess the security situation in Kosovo?
Overall, the situation is calm, but it remains fragile. Following a rise of tensions last year, NATO has deployed hundreds of additional troops. We have quadrupled KFOR's presence in northern Kosovo and tripled the number of patrols, including along the administrative boundary line. Our mission strength is currently around 4,500 troops, with contributions from 28 countries, including NATO allies and partners. These are prudent steps to ensure that KFOR mission continues to fulfill its UN mandate, based on the United Nations Security Council Resolution 1244 of 1999, to provide a safe and secure environment for all communities living in Kosovo and freedom of movement at all times and impartially. We will continue our efforts to prevent escalation and ready to respond to potential challenges by adjusting our posture as required, in accordance with our UN mandate. As the NATO Secretary General said in his visit to Western Balkans this past November, stability in the region depends on all sides choosing diplomacy over violence. NATO strongly supports the EU-facilitated dialogue between Belgrade and Pristina. Both sides must engage in good faith.
How do you interpret the fact that a Turkish commander took over this important duty? Did Turkey make an extra contribution in this period?
Turkey has deep-rooted historical ties with the Western Balkans, and I am well aware of the direct linkage that exists between lasting security in the region and stability across the wide Euro-Atlantic area. This is yet another demonstration of Turkey's long-standing commitment to KFOR and to stability in the region. With this in mind, I am privileged to lead NATO's longest and biggest mission. We are closely monitoring any relevant security developments in the region. KFOR has an agile, flexible, and visible presence across Kosovo. We remain vigilant and focused on the daily and impartial implementation of our UN-mandated mission. We are well equipped and ready to tackle any situation that may affect the security environment.
September 24 was a day that changed many things regarding the positioning of the two countries in relation to the EU. Both want to join the bloc, but their volatile relationship could prove to be a major stumbling block. The scars of the conflict are a stark reminder that now more than ever it is essential for politicians to return to the negotiating table. Recent developments make it clear that the path to lasting peace lies in dialogue. Omer Saraci, TRT World, Pristina, Kosovo.
To get more on Turkey's role in the security of the Balkans, joining me now from Pristina is Burim Ramadani, a security analyst who formerly served as Kosovo's Deputy Minister of Defense and National Coordinator for NATO. From Ankara, we have Mehmet Uğur Ekinci, Foreign Policy Researcher at SETA. Thank you both. A pleasure to have you on Across the Balkans. Burim, let me start with you and pick up from that interview we just heard from General Ulutaş. He says that the situation in Kosovo at the moment is calm but fragile. How significant is to have more KFOR forces present in the north of Kosovo as we speak?
Unfortunately, especially since 22, the situation in Balkans overall, but also in Kosovo, has taken the security dimension more than a political dimension. So it's very significant that NATO in general has acted very rapidly of adding the troops in Kosovo, and especially the combating troops in northern part of Kosovo, especially after the paramilitary group of Serbia that attacked Kosovo on 24th of September last year. So it is unfortunate, but let's say the partnering countries, including NATO in general and Kosovo, in my view, it would be much better if there will be new arrangements between NATO and Kosovo security institutions in order to share more information between each other and to keep the situation calm.
You don't think they share enough information at the moment?
I think there are different layers of obstacles in information sharing between NATO and Kosovo security institutions, mainly because of the different mandate that each institution have. But definitely it would be very much better, let's say. And probably the paramilitary group attack on 24th of September last year would be prevented if security institutions of Kosovo and NATO would be much closer working in operational aspect, because it is very important that, I said, NATO added troops in Kosovo, but we have to strengthen our own institutions too.
Mehmet, how would you describe NATO's strategy towards the Balkans in the wake of the war in Ukraine and in general in the last couple of months?
The war in Ukraine made NATO more vigilant, and it urged NATO to be more prepared to tackle any sort of conflicts or challenges. So it increased its presence in the Balkans with new brigades in Romania and Bulgaria. And in the Western Balkans too, we see an increased presence and increased attention of NATO. Now we see that KFOR's troops are increased in face of or in case of any sort of tensions. And we see that the first tactical air base in the Western Balkans has been launched in Albania quite recently. At the same time, NATO is encouraging EU membership of Western Balkan countries to integrate them more towards Euro-Atlantic structures. So we see that especially the possibility of Russia's possible involvements in Western Balkans or anywhere in Eastern Europe is a big concern for the West.
Burim, you mentioned Banjska attack as a turning point for region's stability. What did we learn after that attack, and what needs to be done to prevent such events to take place again in the north of Kosovo?
It is very clear that it seems Russia's interest of having another zone of conflict within the territory of Europe is very high interest. So Russia actually is playing through a proxy within Western Balkans, which is Serbia, which paradoxically is still a member of Partnership for Peace with NATO, while the Banjska attack on last September was actually attacking Kosovo, but challenging NATO very directly, because where Banjska is as a village, it's less than 15 kilometers from the KFOR camp, Nothing Hill, in the northern part of Kosovo. So actually, what we can learn all is that in aspect of, let's say, more strategic view, probably the enlargement of NATO within Western Balkans, including four steps with Kosovo, would help a lot, because also the dimensions of the conflict, let's say political conflict between Serbia and Kosovo, including the process of dialogue, should remain within the, let's say, political dimension, and to exclude the security dimension. If, let's say, Kosovo and Bosnia and Herzegovina would make few more steps towards being integrated or membership in NATO, absolutely the entire conflict in Balkans, or tensions, let's say, in Balkans, would remain on political dimension.
Right. Mehmet, I want to go back to the role of Turkey with you here. We've heard from General, Turkey has deep-rooted ties with the Balkans and is closely monitoring the situation there. But what kind of role does it want to play in Kosovo-Serbia relations, as Ankara has great relations with both?
Since the end of the Cold War, Turkey has been aiming to increase its bilateral relations with every country in the Balkans, whenever possible, of course. It became possible afterwards in 1990 that Turkey established better relations with some countries, including Serbia. And Turkey wants to keep this going. At the same time, Turkey has been participating in regional security organizations and multinational operations in the Balkans. In fact, the first priority of Turkey in approaching the Balkans is the keeping maintenance of peace and stability, so that Turkey can deepen its relations bilaterally and also in a regional level. Regarding the Belgrade-Pristina dialogue, or Serbia-Kosovo conflict, however we call it, Turkey understands the concerns of both sides, but at the same time, Turkey has been one of the early recognizers of Kosovo and its main supporters of Kosovo's integration in international organizations and also in NATO. So Turkey keeps this posture, but at the same time, Turkey understands the national interests of Serbia, so it encourages dialogue and the possibility of a mutual understanding.
And how important is, Mehmet, to have stronger defense ties between Turkey and the Balkans? As we know, cooperation between Turkey and the Balkans in the defense sector has increased in the recent months.
Yes, Turkey has a large army, and it has one of the largest armies in NATO. And it's a country contiguous to the Balkans. It's a Balkan country. So Turkey wants to contribute to security of the region through several defense mechanisms. Turkey signed bilateral military security and cooperation agreements with Balkan countries since 1990s. And recently it is signing new framework agreements for an enlarged cooperation. In recent months, we saw the signing of agreements with Romania, with Albania, with Kosovo. At the same time, Turkey's military industry, defense industry, is quite active, and it is enlarging rapidly. It is one of the biggest exporting items for Turkey for the recent years.
Right.
Especially the UAVs, the drones, are now being exported to more than 30 countries in the world. And in the recent few years, 3 Balkan countries, namely Romania, Kosovo, and Albania, have purchased them. Turkey wants to continue this relationship going and possibly exporting to other Balkan countries.
Okay, let me just briefly, I have 1 minute left for you, Burim. How significant is for Pristina to have strong defense ties with Ankara?
Absolutely. Ankara, Turkey is one of the most strategic and practical partners of Kosovo in all the aspects, including defense and security. And also, it's very important for our part of the region that Turkey plays an active role within NATO to the process of enlarging and strengthening the NATO membership for countries that left within the Western Balkans. So I'm talking on Kosovo and Bosnia and Herzegovina, but also the importance of strategic framework of the defense for Kosovo, for other countries within Western Balkans, and especially when we have the situation with Serbia, which and this is what I want to just to separate, because Kosovo is still within the framework of buying anything, purchasing anything within NATO standards, which includes Turkey too. While we have Serbia that is buying mainly from Iran, Russia, China, so it is outside of any kind of framework of NATO.
Okay, Mehmet, Burim, thank you both for being our guests on Across the Balkans. I really appreciate your insights.